Rats are like a games. This is Cross the Moon. I've played this game before. Now I'm playing it on the PS5, so I have a feeling that it's not going to have my save information on it, so I'll have to start from the beginning. Yep, no saves. TV volume sounds very high. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I guess I'll have to check that. Cross the Moon. Let's start. I'll see if I can actually make it through the whole thing this time. But also, I do want to focus on metaphor more. But I am playing this game to avoid metaphor, so there is that too. Metaphor kind of annoys me sometimes. It is odd that a thing which I have thought to regard with disfavor and as idolatrous should, in a time of loneliness and trouble, be of help. It is that there is something in the essence of the thing. It's not auto, right? So it shouldn't have left me. Well, anyway, when the moon shone with light so intense, it was well known that it indicated special spiritual activity. The effect of the full moon in such a state of brilliancy was manifold. It acted of J. Sheridan something that doesn't matter. It's not on auto, right? If I hit square, it'll go on auto. That's my interpretation of this. Square is to go on auto. You fooled yourself into thinking maybe this time it will be different. Yes, it's not on auto. Okay. This time, the lost pieces of yourself will return. Right? I don't remember this at all. But I think I remember how it starts eventually. Is that what this is about? Anna, I'm sorry. It's gone, and it isn't coming back. It has been 4 years. Give up. Oh, my sweet, precocious fruit. Go home, Anna. Fruit? She's lesbian? Is that what that means? Or just she's food for the vampire, right? This is a vampire story. So you walk home incomplete. That same cool spell blows through the trees again and again. That same cool spell blows through the trees. Okay. Right. It's repeating, but it does sound pretty, so I'll give it that. If I want to, I can save anytime I want, just like this. Alright, good to know. Very poetic. It seems like it'd be like a bad way to put it, but it's very poetic. I respect the writing of this. As it's come to be, your home awaits you. Wait, have I played this? Yeah, I think I played this. I vaguely remember looking at this. Claire's father, rest his soul, built this place with his own 2 hands. This is not what it looks like, is it? Because this is trash. A home away from home. This place has seen better days. I mean, it has no ceiling. But if you look hard enough, I'm sure you can see it for what it once was. You gonna tell me that this building has a ceiling at some point? So I don't think so. No, that building did not look like that. That's better. That's nonsense. This is no, I'm calling bullshit on that. But let's just pretend that we weren't looking at a house made out of rocks earlier. It was a different time back then. This house does not have like rock. It was not built from rock. This house was built with like actual modern bricks and stuff like that. Back then, that was like a medieval castle that got half built or something. Back then, when everything was so dead simple. But now the precious maiden has flown the coop, and the mad crone wanders on, ravaging the vacant land, the static snow globe of a prison. So is it a beach house? Because it looked like it was on the beach or something. And you, dear Anna, are the only one left to keep this place warm. Ah, if only we could go back to the way things were. A second start. Back in time. Back in time. That's the song, right? It's been a long cycle, and your eyes deserve a rest. Take it easy. Take it in. Moon looks back, Moon made flesh. Ah, the dreaded double album. so self-indulgent and rarely necessary. Do you remember it? Nope. Moon looks back. Doesn't ring any bells. Because it will. You can be damn sure of that. It'll all come knocking back. The moon is shattered. What the hell happened? You seem a little out of it, Anna, so I'm not sure how much of this you remember. Allow me and the music to guide you. Do you remember cities? You've gone from them a while. You've been gone from them a while. There's one called L'Amour. Its old name, long abandoned. L'Amour, just like that. L'Amour, capital of Armorica, or the Armorican enclave, if France continues to redraw its own borders wider and wider. But for now, it's still the independent nation of Armorica. They have vampires here. Ba, 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 ba. Man, I love this music. The moon watches from above. You see L'Amour's ever-changing skyline before you. The reassuring mix of old and new, of jagged brick and stone stuffed with an inexpensive, inextinguishable insulation behind painted plasterboards. God, that's great. Great writing. I wish I could write like this. And recent brutalist housing complexes, shopping strips and parks adorned with new neon signs so vivid and sweet you could cut your tongue on them. Who wrote this? You gotta look them up. They probably wrote some novels or something, some movies maybe. It's early spring. You remember the seasons, don't you? And the nights are still cool, though not as cool and to numb your bones. A light jacket will do fine. The night is young, and those old enough to remember a different time have all died or long since gone to bed. On La Rue des Charpistes, sunset warmed a lively strip of storefronts open in the name of disillusion and debauchery, of vice and occasional virtue. At L'Ami de Dieu, a hole in the wall that seats fewer than a dozen comfortably, they serve the finest, driest vermouth you'll ever taste, topped with a single salted Nicoise olive brain to perfection. And for those inclined, many sanguine-based cocktails and concoctions. I suppose you need not be rich to enjoy such liqueurs, but it would certainly help. Opposite the bar, the Auchamond sells the most decadent of vintage imports at prices sure to make you squirm. With L'Amour and the rest of Armorica largely isolated, the seduction of spending a small fortune on a single Spanish cigar, a middling one at that, seduces many a man with more money than sense. That lovely tablecloth with an ambiguous African pattern proudly sporting its Made in China label. Since the partial closure of the Armorican borders due to the whole vampire thing, both China and Africa sound equally exotic and intangible to many residents of L'Amour. But ambrosias and gaudy knickknacks are not what we're here for. Surely if you wanted a history of L'Amour de l'Amoureux, you'd have picked a different vinyl. You're here for something more personal. Inside the Demeter, and in and out of love, drink and dance for a fair price and with little fear of judgment. One of the few clubs on the east side of L'Amour, with a sensuous interditus sign on the door. Le Demeter was the place where cautious young vamps went to spend their money. Quarantine and Apollon were such vamps out late dancing on a Thursday night. They were in love, or at least that's what Apollon told himself. And as they slid in unison across the checkered dance floor, he whispered in her ear, Your eyes cut me in half. Apollon cast. I can't wait much longer. Why go through all this? Apollon cast him. And as he moved to embrace her, she brushed her index finger across the crest of her lips, pushing against his mouth. Darling, darling, it's Corentin Ippomy. Save your hunger, little wolf. Corentin Ippomy. As Corentin slid her hand down Apollon's chest, she motioned with her eyes to someone at the back of the club. Corentin and Apollon. Night rewards a patient hunger, and our dear friend Lux is doing you a delicious favor. You don't want to spoil your appetite now, do you? Over by the bar, Corentin and Apollo's classmate Lux was preying on trusting club-goers, someone with an ear to lend, a quick bite to offer. It wasn't something he liked to do, of course, but a promise was a promise. He wasn't about to disappoint his best friend, Apollon. Lux Ammonite. Hold on a second. Ammonite or Ammonite? I like Ammonite. How are we doing for time? 11:45. We got plenty of time. Let's keep going. Lux was a born hunter, even if he didn't wish to be one. He's always had a gift for seducing humans into offering them a drink of themselves. Just a taste, really. Tonight wasn't Lux's idea, nor was it Apollon's, but they were here. When the three of them had entered the club some 15 minutes earlier, Corentin had pointed out their mark. Dominique drank at Le Demeter most nights of the week to forget, or at least to lessen the toll of his dreary work. A lawyer of some kind from one of the nearby firms where he spends his days lawyering misdeeds best forgotten. His life will soon be cut short. Tragic, yes, although his demise won't be Lux's fault. Well, maybe not entirely his fault, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. No, Dominique! Excuse me. Lux approached the man. Is he taken? There was no answer. Lux parked himself on the stool and leaned in closer to him. The man looked disinterested. Lux wasn't sure why Corentin picked him in particular, but this was who she had chosen, and there was no backing out. There are two parts to a hunt, disarming and ensnaring. Hard day? The man gave an annoyed look as he turned toward Lux. Listen, I'd like to just mind my own business and... There's always that brief moment of vulnerability when someone realizes they're speaking to a vampire. It's a fleeting gut check, a momentary stagger in your thoughts. There's that subtle fear in the man's eyes. Lux knows too well. There aren't that many black vampires in L'Amour, and Lux was reminded of that every day. Hey, I don't want any trouble, just trying to drink in peace. Lux had that cool confidence that night brought out in all vampires. Of course, my man, no trouble, nor harm meant. I'm simply looking for someone to talk to. Disarm. I got no eyes or ears to lend you. Sorry. He was slurring his words. Did Corentin really pick out a drunk? Having myself a bad week, kid. Last thing I need is a vamp getting me in trouble. I'm not here to get you in any trouble. Yes, you are. I just want to talk. I've been having a shit day as well lately. It's like I don't even know which way's up. Ever since my cat went missing, my whole life's been a total mess. The man grimaced. Your cat? Lux nodded. Sounds kind of silly, right? Well, you see those two over there? Lux lifted his head, his arm, and pointed at the dance floor. Yeah, what about him? It's Quarantine and Apollo. Quarantine and Apollo, moving like lovers, did their best to ignore the attention Lux was drawing to them. The guy with the golden locks there has been my best friend for years. His name's Apollon. Anyway, we used to be real close. Everything was good until Lacrima went missing. Lacrima disappeared and I started having the worst luck. Apollon and I would start arguing over nothing. I couldn't even tell you why we were so upset half the time. Just a bad cloud, you know? And then she showed up. Quarantine. Cora, as Apollon calls her. Cora and Apollon. Ever since then, it's been like I don't even exist anymore. He's eating me up on the inside. Eating me. I barely see him anymore. It's why I'm here tonight, tagging along to their little escapades. Feels like that's the only way I get the chance to hang out with him. Shh. She's ruined everything. Can you tell me what Lux is saying? Sorry, that's Apollon. I want to do a different voice for him. Can you tell me what Lux is saying? Making up a sob story, I'm sure. You think it's working? Lux was looking out at Apollon. Dominique gave Lux a sympathetic smirk. Girl troubles, eh? Lux sensed he had the man's attention. Dominique was captivated by Lux's voice, his composure in his eyes. Sorry to hear that. Heck, Sid, next round's on me. What are you having? Lux let out a small childish chuckle of embarrassment, letting his fangs answer for him. The man knew he wanted blood. Right, of course, silly question. The man turned toward the bar and called out to the bartender. What's a pint of red going for these days? The bartender grimaced and eyed the situation skeptically. 35 francs for a 300 milliliter bottle. We don't serve it in pints, sir. Why die? That's a fortune. It's the cost of living. How do you vamps even get by with the prices like that? Poorly. Overhearing this, the bartender leaned forward across the bar and started wagging his finger at Lux. Listen, kid, you best not be mesmerizing my clientele. Can't you read? The bartender pointed his thumb at a large sign behind the bar. Mesmer intended. The sign was common in clubs and bars that feigned acceptance of vampires. We accept your money, but no funny business. Well, I mean, it's kind of reasonable. They want to sell blood. The man turned to look at Lux again. He felt deceived, vulnerable. Hey, you're not mesmerizing me, are you? Deception and control are the root of a vampire's strength. It comes from their powerful gaze. It comes from their eyes. Mesmerizing, of course, is illegal, as it is by definition non-consenting. As a result, there were harsh incarceration penalties for even minor offenses. Please, I might be hungry, but I'm not foolish. I'm here for the same damn reason you are, to have a drink and forget about my worries. The man stared silently at him for a few seconds. Besides, if I was mesmerizing you, wouldn't be wondering about it. Lux winked at him as he lightly tapped the man's legs. The man chuckled, admiring Lux's beautiful eyes. Fair enough. Nothing else. Lux was an effective flirt. Listen, I wish I could help you, but 35 francs is too much for one drink. I can't just indebt myself to someone I just met. The man was apologetic. Lux leaned back and stretched and gave him a quick side sign to Apollo in quarantine. Ensnared. You're right, friend. It is too much. They gouge us with their prices to keep us out, to keep us hungry and mad and scary. It's a vicious circle. However, he leaned over and whispered in Dominique's ears, placing a hand on his shoulder. There is another way you could help us. The man slowly leaned forward, looking deep at the Lux's dark, enchanting eyes. He is being mesmerized. Before she even stepped off the SkyTrain, Aurora knew this was a mistake. Alright, this is where we're going to stop, I think. Because we finished the whole damn story. Or a little part of the story. Music's over, and I feel like it's a good place to move on. So, I'll just save it here. Save. Yes, overwrite. Yes, please. I really love that little first part. I remember doing it before. I think I sort of like just felt like too much work in the end. So this is yes is red. Red is saying yes. Yep, it just changed. All right, and I guess we stop here. Um, that's all, folks. Please like, subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment, and I will see y'all next time. Love you guys. Save recent gameplay. Full video.